We have a quorum, so I would like to call the regularly scheduled meeting for the Village of Tinley Park Plan Commission to order. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Lori, could you take the roll call?
Commissioner Gaskell.
Present.
Commissioner Gatto. Commissioner Manny.
Present.
Commissioner Merrick.
Here.
Commissioner Martinez. Commissioner Montalvo.
Here.
Commissioner Sepisi. Chairman Gray. Acting Chair Hamilton.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, very good. We will now move on to communications. Staff, are there any communications?
No, I think our audio-visual should be working fine for live streaming tonight.
Very good. Okay. Then we'll move on to the approval of the minutes from the October 16th, 2025 meeting. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the October 16th, 2025 Plan Commission meeting?
So moved.
I believe that was Commissioner Manny made the motion. Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay. Commissioner Merrick seconded. Any opposed? Okay, the motion's carried. Oh, we have to vote, right? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Okay, item 1 on the agenda tonight is a public hearing to consider recommending that the village board grant Lawrence Debb, on behalf of Tinley Park Land Development LLC, a special use for a substantial deviation from the Brookside Creek Retail Center PUD to amend the allowable use chart for the PUD at 7251 through 7551 191st Street in the B3 PD General Business and Commercial Brookside Creek Retail Center PUD zoning district. May I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion.
Commissioner Gaskell made the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Montalvo.
I can't.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. None. Any opposed? Motion's carried. Before we proceed, I'd like to confirm that I have a note that I've received certification of the public hearing notice as published in the local newspaper as required by the state law. And anyone wishing to speak on this matter will be sworn in before they speak, but after the staff's presentation. So staff, if you could please proceed with your presentation.
Okay, so this is a request to amend the allowable use chart in the Brookside Creek Retail Center planned unit development. This property is located at the southwest corner of 191st and Harlem, with the exception of the actual hard corner. The property totals 72 acres. It's been subdivided into 7 buildable lots, and 44 acres of that 72 remain to be used as floodplain mitigation and stormwater management. The property is zoned B3 PD. The PUD was approved by the village board in January of 2025, this year. Sorry about the typo there. The PUD has some controls on land use and signage. Other than that, it generally permits most B3 uses. And just want to note that adjacent properties are between 300 and 700 feet away from the property lines of the developable lots. So here is a graphic just to help orient us. Lot 1 and Lot 4 are highlighted. Those are the focus of this request, which I will get to in a moment. But the green area shows you the amount of land that is going to be dedicated to stormwater management and floodplain mitigation. So it is a substantial portion of the site. The request specifically is to request a special use to deviate from the previously approved PUD so that we can modify the use allowability that was established in the PUD. So the request is very narrow. It is really just editing that use table to say where things can go, not where they must go or anything like that. So the adopted PUD includes this table, this allowable use chart. The request that they are making tonight is to move the gas station, which was allowed specifically on Lot 1 and prohibited elsewhere, to move it to Lot 4 and prohibited elsewhere. So here's lots 1 and 4 highlighted. Lot 1 is where the gas station is currently allowed. The owner of Lot 1 has a approved special use for a gas station that's gas and wash. They were granted that when the PUD was adopted at the beginning of this year, and Lot 4 became available since then, and the petitioner and the potential gas station, gas and wash, would prefer Lot 4 because of it having access on both Harlem and 191st Street. So this is really a change requested because there was a previous user that was kind of locked in for Lot 4 that has since pulled back. Lot 4 has become available. Gas stations like corners, and so that's the purpose of the request. So all we would actually be changing is the language on the allowable use chart. So as I showed previously, the gas station allowance is currently listed as Lot 1 only. This would change it to Lot 4 only within the PUD. So what does this mean? What is the end result of your action tonight? Modifying the allowable use chart in the PUD only will change where a gas station can go. You will not be approving a gas station tonight. Any application for a gas station would have to come through the process, come before you again, submit engineering drawings to document feasibility, provide a traffic report if that's deemed necessary. So you're really just changing the chart in the PUD. I just want to make that as clear as I can. So when any future user comes in for Lot 4 to develop a gas station or any other use, they would go through our process, and that would require review and sign off from several permitting agencies, from us with the village, the county Department of Transportation, because this property is, I believe, currently in the floodplain and will be revised to remove it from the floodplain, but they would even need approval all the way up to the federal government to actually get a permit to build anything. So really all we're changing is where it can go. We're not approving the gas station tonight. And I have the standards.
Very good. So that's okay, very good. Is the petitioner present?
So the petitioner, Larry Debb, is not present tonight. He is the developer of the whole Brookside Creek Retail Center PUD. Because Gas and Wash was involved with Lot 1 and are now hoping to move to Lot 4. We do have an application for them to move to Lot 4. I have Gas and Wash's folks here to talk about any questions you might have.
Okay, very good. Would you like to make a statement? It's not necessary, but if you like, now's the time. So, please approach the lectern and sign your name.
Okay.
And if you'd state your name, then we'll swear you in.
My name is Christian Kolashevsky. I am an architect with WT Group. We're the architects for Gas and Wash.
Okay, so please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the evidence that you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, please proceed.
We just want to reiterate the simple nature of this request. It's literally just allowing the use to be relocated to Lot 4, and we are very much aware that we have to go through the whole process for Lot 4. So we're not expecting approval for the Gas and Wash, just to allow us to make our submittal to start the process. Had the Lot 4 been available at the beginning, that's where we would have originally gone. Unfortunately, another user had acquired the rights to that lot prior to us. That's why we went to Lot 1, and as was mentioned, that user has withdrawn, and so we're taking advantage of that.
Good. Thank you. Okay, so the audience understands now, we'll have comments, if any, from the commissioners, and then there'll be an opportunity for any of the public to make a statement, be sworn in to make a statement. So I'll ask now for the commissioners if there's any comments. Commissioner Gaskell?
No comments.
Commissioner Manning?
Yes, I have a quick comment to the staff. Looking at the staff report, why was Lot 4 not allowed for a gas station?
When the PUD was drafted, the developer, Larry Debb, had a sense of where some users might go. So I think that it was allocated specifically so that you wouldn't have Gas and Wash go under contract to purchase Lot 1. Something happens with them, and then suddenly this lot, say this Lot 4 was another gas station to come in. You know, it was to basically guarantee that Gas and Wash would be the only gas station in the PUD so that you wouldn't have some weird same property conflict of two users happening.
Right, okay. No other comments?
Thank you. Commissioner Merrick?
So I have a couple questions. One is, at that hard corner, there was somebody else who wanted to put a gas station in, right, in the past? And then the other question I have is that, maybe this is for the Gas and Wash people, there's a Gas and Wash right down the street. What will happen to that Gas and Wash if this one goes in? It's like a quarter mile from this one.
Yeah, we're very cognizant that a retail fueling facility is solely dependent on the existing traffic. It's what's called a siphoning use and not a destination use. You're not sitting watching the football game on your couch and say, oh, my car's full of, is empty and I need to fill it up. You fill it up when you're going to work, when you're coming home from work, when you're doing your errands on Saturday. So it's very dependent on the traffic flow. Traffic patterns are different at these sites. Sites are close proximity, but the traffic patterns that hit the sites are in different flows. And so the Harlem traffic doesn't really come down and go west and go to the other Gas and Wash. So we're missing all that traffic on Harlem. So we have looked at the traffic counts. That warrants the investment of the multi-million-dollar investment.
So this is separate set of users that would likely use this gas station versus the one according.
Correct, in terms of basic traffic flow, yeah.
Yeah, got it. Thank you. And I guess the last question I have for this is for the staff, is that gas stations automatically require coming through this board, or, I mean, lots of businesses open that don't come through the board, right? Because they don't need special permission.
Yeah, so in a base zoning, B3, which is what this property is zoned, without a PUD, a gas station and a car wash, when attached to a gas station, are both separate special use permits. So the one we did for Gas and Wash on 183rd and LaGrange, that was a vote for 2 special use permits to do those 2 pieces of the project. This change in the use table will basically mean that the use is allowed, but because it would be a deviation from the approved PUD, which doesn't have anything in it besides the use table, it would be a special, they would come before you with a special use to deviate from the approved PUD, and that's when you would get their site plan submittal and all the other documents you're used to seeing to give approval. So it's kind of like a semantic difference. Functionally, it's the exact same process.
Okay, thank you. That's it?
Commissioner Montalvo, any comments? No comments, right. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to testify to the materials that have been presented at today's meeting?
Testify or comment?
Comment, sorry. Good. Okay. If you'll approach the lectern and be sworn in. I understand that you've written your name already,
Yes.
but if you would raise your right, state your name
Jennifer Vargas?
and repeat after me. Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please proceed.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to state that in regards to the proximity of the gas and wash like you were talking about, the one that they're proposing now on 191st in Harlem, the other one is literally on 194th in Harlem. It is 3 blocks away. The other gas and wash is on 191st and 88th Avenue. So they do have one on 191st, and they do have one on Harlem, literally 3 blocks away from where this one is going to be. Just so you guys have some idea of how close these 3 gas and washes are going to be. My comments I have are more towards the whole property tonight and not so much about the gas and wash and moving and doing your special use permits tonight. I wanted to really talk to you guys about the safety of this property and things that have been happening in our neighborhood. And anything that comes in to this property and comes to you guys, I want you guys to be aware of that we, as a neighborhood, are opposed to anything being 24 hours. We have had an uptick in traffic in our area already once the gas and wash on 194th in Harlem opened up, because that comes right into our neighborhood. We used to have maybe 2 to 5 cars coming through from midnight to 5 o'clock in the morning. All of our Ring cameras pick up much, much more traffic, and it's been happening a lot more frequently. Something else that happened in our neighborhood a couple weeks ago that did not make the news is we had an elderly person had a home invasion. They kicked in her back door. It was, I don't even know if it was an armed robbery, to be honest with you. I don't know if they were armed or not. They caught one guy, did not make the news. A week later, it happened in Homer Glen, that made the news. So there's a lot of things that are going on in our neighborhood that we are already dealing with, and having this development come in, we're not opposed to it, never have been, but we're opposed to anything going in there that might be 24 hours, whether it be the gas and wash, McDonald's, or anything else coming up in the future. And I really hope that you guys understand that and you look at that for our neighborhood. And please keep that in the back of your mind, because there are things that are not being reported. Maybe talk to the police station, find out what's going on in this particular neighborhood with the residents, because we are really concerned for the safety of our kids, for the elderly, and for everyone. So please, please keep that in mind when you guys are listening to everyone's presentations on this development. And that's really all I have at this point. I will probably talk again after McDonald's does their presentation, but again, in regards to the neighborhood, we're worried about noise, we're worried about traffic, we're worried about lights, we're worried about 24 hours. There are all these things that we are concerned with that I really hope you guys take into consideration while you hear presentations tonight and moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public who'd like to speak on this topic? Okay. May I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Gaskell. You have a second?
So moved.
Second by Commissioner Merrick. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion is carried. now it's time for the standards. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so the standards for special use approval, that the establishment, maintenance, or operation of the special use will not be detrimental or endanger the public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare. Modifying the use allowability table in the PUD will not negatively impact the public. Special use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other properties in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted. Again, modifying the use allowability will not negatively impact nearby property owners. The establishment of the special use will not impede normal and orderly development. Modifying the use allowability in the PUD will not impede development. A gas station with car wash was already allowed within the PUD. Adequate utilities, access roads, drainage have been or will be provided. All necessary facilities for all development within the PUD must be provided in order to receive approval to develop any land. Any future gas station user on Lot 4 must demonstrate that adequate drainage will be provided by the master development or on-site. Adequate measures have been taken or will be taken to provide ingress and egress. Modifying the use allowability in the PUD will not impact access on its own. Master development and any future development of Lot 4 must install necessary roadway modifications determined by the Village, Will County Department of Transportation, and Illinois Department of Transportation. Special use will conform to all village regulations. It will. And the extent to which the special use contributes directly or indirectly to the community. Modifying the use allowability makes the property more marketable to gas station users because of the dual access on 191st and Harlem. And then I have one motion.
May I have a motion regarding the special use?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner
Make a
Montalvo.
motion to recommend that the village board grant the special use for a substantial deviation from the Brookside Creek Retail Pub Center PUD to the petitioner Lawrence Deb of Tinley Park Land Development LLC to modify the allowable use chart in the PUD to relocate the gas station allowance from Lot 1 to Lot 4 at 7251, 7551, 191st Street in the B3 PD, General Business and Commercial Brookside Creek Retail Center PUD zoning district, subject to all conditions previously imposed by ordinance number 2025-0-065.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gaskell. Lori, could you call the roll?
Commissioner Gaskell,
Yes.
Commissioner Manny,
No.
Commissioner Merrick,
No.
Commissioner Montalvo,
Yes.
Acting Chair Hamilton.
Yes. So that's 3-2, so the motion's carried. This item will go to the village board on January 6th. Okay, we move on to item 2 for this evening. It's a public hearing to consider recommending that the village board grant Kathy Stevens of Permit Solutions, Inc., on behalf of McDonald's Corporation, a special use for a substantial deviation from the Brookside Creek Retail Center PUD to allow for the construction of a quick-service restaurant with drive-through at 7501 191st Street, Tinley Park, Illinois, in the B3 PD General Business and Commercial Brookside Creek Retail Center PUD zoning district. Site plan architectural approval will also be considered. May I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Commissioner Manny made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Montalvo seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No opposed? Motion's carried. Before we proceed, I'd like to note that I've received a certification of the public hearing notice as being published in the local newspaper as required by state law. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter will be sworn in before they speak, but after the staff's presentation. Staff, if you could please proceed with your presentation at this time.
Okay, so again, we're in the Brookside Creek Retail Center. We're looking specifically at Lot 7, which is 1.57 acres in the subdivision. I'll have a plat pulled up in a moment so you can see exactly where that is. But the property is to be delivered pad ready to McDonald's after master site improvements are complete. Property is zoned B3 PD. The planned unit development, Brookside Creek Retail Center, was approved in January of this year. A quick service restaurant with drive-through is permitted by right in the B3 zoning district, and it is also permitted in the PD. And I, again, just want to note that the closest residential properties are at least 300 feet from Lot 7. So Lot 7 is this shape up at the top left of the plat here. So immediately across the street is the western access drive to Brookside Marketplace, where the Target and a bunch of other big box users are. So this property will be accessed only from a interconnect access drive that runs north-south along the property's eastern edge. Immediately west of this property, you can see a diagonal line on the map. That is a natural gas pipeline. And then on the other side of that is going to be a large detention basin. So really, this site is hemmed in as far as development going further to the west. So this would kind of be the last lot as you go west from Harlem. And then immediately west of this is some unincorporated Will County properties. So the request is a special use for a substantial deviation to the Brookside Creek Retail Center PUD, and then they're also requesting site plan and architectural approval. This is McDonald's proposed site plan. The property has no direct access off of 191st Street. They will instead have access from that shared access road for the rest of the shopping center. Their driveway is about as far south as it can be, so there is very limited potential for drive-through backing up or any vehicle conflicts, just with the way that the site is configured. They're proposing to do the typical McDonald's dual drive-through, where there's 2 lines before the order board and then they merge into one for pickup. They're proposing a large outdoor patio on the south side of the building. And then they also have several parking stalls that are dedicated to specific purposes like Uber Eats and drive-through pickup, that kind of thing. The site has one-way vehicle circulation also to help minimize any conflicts, and all users would circle the building for ingress and egress purposes. So they have provided a landscape plan. This is a version that I received with their original submittal. They have since added additional plantings to a new landscape plan, which I'll pull up at the end of the presentation. Really all they've done is they've relocated some plantings out of the pipeline easement. Right now, the tree that is furthest to the left on the plan is in that easement, and the pipeline won't allow trees or buildings in the easement, so that one's going to be shifted over. And then they've also added some taller evergreen trees and shrubs along the south curb line of the parking lot. And that should help provide heavier screening of the site in general, and also should substantially reduce the amount of headlight spillage for vehicles parked in those spaces, because although it is at least 300 feet away, you would have headlights otherwise showing directly into people's backyards. So this landscape proposal would substantially reduce that. Oh, and then also with the site plan and landscape plan, they're proposing the trash enclosure with a attached storage shed kind of at the front of the property. It is not in the required front yard, so it is technically an allowed location. And they've just kind of clustered a lot of landscaping around that to help minimize the impact of seeing that from 191st Street. So this shows the Lot 7 in the context of the master development. This is from the landscape plan that was provided by the master development's engineer. And I included this because it shows the location of the site landscaping that will be planted as part of the master development. So you can kind of see it here, but along the west and south, everywhere that there is landscaping proposed on the other side of the lot line, there's a small trail that's owned by the Frankfurt Square Park District, and then you go immediately to people's backyards. So the landscaping for the master development is going to be clustered in a way that places it as close as possible to neighboring residential properties, because that will be more impactful as you'll see the tree looking out your window or in your backyard, rather than seeing a giant field and then a tree and then the back of a McDonald's. So it should be more impactful to have it this way. And then as far as the building architecture, this is a standard modern McDonald's. They kind of build these everywhere with the similar materials and general architecture. So they're going to be using a gray face brick. Then they have some of a darker gray, closer to a black face brick for additional detailing. They have aluminum panels that are black that go above the canopy along the primary entrance facades. And then they have kind of minimal signage, have limited the color accents to really just above the drive-through windows and the actual McDonald's signs themselves. Yeah, I think that's all I would note. And then this is their sign package. So the signage they're proposing is compliant with our sign code. And then, as one of the members of the public stated, there's kind of been a push to limit 24-hour operation for any user. And so since we're talking about the McDonald's right now, we wanted to get the Plan Commission's take on limiting hours from 4 a.m. to 10 p.m. Like to get your opinions as to whether or not that is appropriate. The petitioner has stated over time that the final hours of operation would ultimately be up to the operator of the McDonald's. But if we were to act, we could limit the hours on the special use permit. I don't know that 4 to 10 is the best strategy. The petitioner is here and can maybe speak on that as well, but this is just the one open item to discuss.
Okay.
And then, yeah, I have the standards. I will pull up the landscape plan real quick, just so we can see the proposed changes. So this is the area that I'm talking about along the southern property line that has some additional plantings. So these spiky shaped trees, they're adding 10 of them. Those are a denser evergreen that grows a bit taller, so it's not really a shrub, it's more of a small tree. And that will provide additional screening, especially for vehicle headlights. And I believe that is the primary change. I think there is also like a little bit of an increase in some of the smaller shrubs on site, but those 10 evergreen trees are the primary change. I'll go back. Okay, and then, yeah, I have the standards to
Okay,
discuss.
Very good. So I understand the petitioner is present. Does the petitioner wish to make a statement? If you'll approach the lectern and sign in.
Yep, I am signed in,
Okay,
Dan
very good.
Olson, yep.
And could you state your name and I'll swear you in?
Sure, I'm Dan Olson with Upstream Design Group.
Okay. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the evidence that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Right? Please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, Commissioners. I appreciate the opportunity to bring this project to you tonight. Like I said, my name's Dan Olson with Upstream Design Group. I'm the site designer for this project. I also have Joe Kirchner with me, who is the project architect, if there's any specific questions regarding the architecture on that. So I won't rehash. Michael did a great job covering the bulk of the site and building pieces of this. I guess I would just add a couple of pieces about the function of the drive-through for what it's worth and the operation of that and our ability to move cars on and off and have ample parking and stacking within the current site plan that we have before you. So this is our best, most efficient drive-through layout. The site actually gives us ample room to have landscaping and good parking and good drive-through flow here. We're currently showing 16 cars that can queue into there, which is more than adequate for our restaurant. One of the things that helps, we talked about, is the dividing into the 2 lanes is a big deal in terms of keeping the drive-through moving for obvious reasons. But additionally, there are 3 drive-through windows on what is to the left on the screen, to the west side. There's a cash window, there's a pickup window, and then there's a second pickup window for orders that are taking longer. We can move cars straight ahead, have staff prepare their food and bring it to them right through a window, so staff isn't having to go outside necessarily. So that's for larger, more complex orders, we can move them forward. And then, as Michael mentioned, we've got several dedicated parking spaces to move them forward, which all is a relief valve for the drive-through, keeps it moving and keeps it flowing. It's 46 parking spaces on site, which is right where we want to be from an operations standpoint. I will touch on the corral. I know there was a question about the materials, the building materials of the trash corral, and that is matching and is proposed to match the colors and materials of the building. So that'll be a gray brick, just like the building. There is a small shed that's next to it. I get questions at a lot of these meetings, well, what are you guys putting in there? What do you do with that? It's for your lawn equipment and things like that. It's not storage of food or anything of that nature. It's more about your lawnmower, snow blowers, shovels, things like that. Operators like to have that option. And yeah, and there's, we talked a little bit about the landscaping. I did prepare a landscape plan. If there's any specific questions, we were able to add a bunch of landscaping to help mitigate headlights around the site, which I fully understand and appreciate that concern, so we were happy to do that. And then lastly, on the hours, we're here for a discussion and to hear your thoughts on that. We understand staff's recommendation. I understand the residents' concern, and we are open-minded on that. I think ideally when we come into a location like this, when we're setting it up for a future operator, whether that's corporately owned or an owner-operator, and at this point, I don't know which this will be, we like to ask for the opportunity to go 24 hours through the drive-through and in the building, and then let let the market, let the operator decide when they open. They rarely are open 24 hours, and I know that that's not the solution here to tell you that they probably won't do that. I understand we probably need to talk restrictions, but that's why we ask for it. And then if the business demands are there, they'll keep it open and they'll keep it running. It does mean that somebody's there on site taking care of things and lights are on, and in terms of, safety concerns and things like that, someone is present and watching that. We're comfortable with it. That's what we like to see. That's what we'd like to have happen here. We understand that there's concerns. So I think going 4 to 10 is a little limiting in that, but I'd like to talk about your thoughts and maybe come up with a compromise on that. And we're here for any questions.
Okay, we'll move on to see if the commissioners have any comments. Commissioner Gaskell?
No comments.
Commissioner Manny?
No comments.
Commissioner Merrick?
I guess the only question I have is, when we were looking at the original layout that had the McDonald's, I thought that we had a discussion and the folks who were actually in charge of the entire area had agreed to not advance any 24-hour places as part of the broader PUD. Am I remembering that correctly?
I recall it being discussed. I don't think anything was firmly decided one way or the other. And then I know that the PUD didn't set any restrictions.
Okay,
So if a restriction's appropriate, now is the time to do it.
all right, thank you.
Commissioner Montalvo?
No comment.
I would have a question for the staff. There are a number of McDonald's in Tinley Park, I'm sure. What are the restrictions on their operating hours? Would you know?
I think both 171st in Harlem and 159th in Harlem are 24 hours, I think.
Okay, so
Sounds
they're-
right. I think the lobby closes and
Yeah.
both of them, right?
Yeah, both of them, the inside closes and it's drive-through only for overnight hours.
See, okay, thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to comment on today's presentation? Okay, have you signed in?
Yes.
Okay, would you state your name?
Pamela Maloney?
Pamela, would you raise your right hand? And do you swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Okay, so I am Pam Maloney. I'm the closest neighbor to the west of where the McDonald's is proposed to go. I have some questions, but just a little rundown. So 159th in Harlem, 171st in Harlem are supposed to be 24-hour currently. So we would like to restrict those hours if we can as residents. We just want to, we want to keep the traffic down. We want to keep any problems down that we're going to have. We've got the amphitheater, so if that's open 24, if people are coming from the concert and McDonald's is open 24 hours, it's going to get crazy over there. I'm sure that's good for McDonald's business, but since we're the closest residents, we just don't want any overflow coming to us. We've even had crazy things happen where the amphitheater, they'll come running along the fence. They're just trying to find a shortcut through. I don't know why, but. So both Tinley locations are 24 hours, but there are no houses by them. There's apartment buildings, but again, they're not permanent residents. We are, and I just feel like we are here first, so I feel like our needs should come first. And what's the benefit, to it being open 24 hours for the neighborhood? I don't feel like there is a benefit. One of my questions is, I know we're talking 4 a.m. to 10 p.m., but does that include deliveries? Are deliveries going outside of those times? Like, are there going to be deliveries between 4 a.m. and 10 p.m.?
Usually, if we're restricting a business's hours of operation, we would really be trying to control for like the allowed opening hours.
Okay,
For something like a warehouse or something, we might consider like a delivery time limit. But I would say, I don't know that we would want to kind of force any operator to have to meet those hours in case something, weird happens. We don't want them to be like violating their approval if they have something that needs to happen in the middle of the night. I don't know.
So there's a
Yeah.
possibility between 4 AM or between 10 PM and 4 AM, we could be having deliveries going on, so it could be loud, because it does carry across. I mean, we hear the trucks and everything, and they're just moving dirt at this point, but we hear everything. So, I mean, it's our bedroom that we're looking into. I do have some other questions too, if you want to pull up you had another map, right? Yeah, that one. So, okay, so I see the drive-through that's on the east side, and it's 2 lanes, and then it starts coming around. So as you come around, I see those, those 3 trees that are kind of below where you say the storage is. And then there's all the parking lanes, like if they're waiting for their drive-through order. Is that landscaping there?
In the,
Like where the parking spots on the west side? Go a little more on.
here?
Is that landscaping?
Yes, this is all landscaping.
And what type of landscaping are we talking? How
so
high?
The kind of
Brush?
lighter shade that's happening here, those are smaller shrubs.
Okay,
So I can't recall the species offhand, but I think they would grow to be, high enough to block like a normal car's headlights. And then the darker shade that's happening in the middle here, that is a different type of shrub that I believe grows a little taller. So that might block a truck's headlights, for example. pickup
okay.
truck.
Right, because I'm just thinking as they come around that drive-through, I mean, it'll go right into our bedroom window. So that concerns me. I know some of it is, even on the south, like, I feel like there's a lot going on the south, that's great, but it's like, all that stuff that's gonna be pointing to the west concerns me. I know it's the shrubs, but I mean, are we getting thicker things? And then what about the fence? When we were talking to Larry Deb, he was talking about keeping the fencing up against the buildings. I don't see a fence in it, but I don't know if it's just my eyes that I can't.
No, you're correct. So the latest landscape plan from the Larry Deb Master Development Team includes a fence, I believe a 6-foot tall fence. I do not believe the material is specified at this point. But for the McDonald's property, although on the master development side of the property line, you would have a fence on the west and on the south. And
Okay.
then when the grocery store user comes in, there would be a fence behind that user. And then the small lot 5 that's on Harlem, that would also get a fence along the southern edge. So the master development would be providing that landscaping, the perimeter buffer that I showed previously, and then the fence.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's still just, it's gonna concern me because it's gonna be the closest thing, it's gonna be the most open thing besides the gas station, and we're gonna have to live with this every day. So I think we just need to consider a few more things before approving that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Thank you.
I think you're already sworn in, so could you
Yep,
state your
got it.
name again?
Jennifer Vargas. So I know everything looks great on paper, and about the headlights and the landscaping, so I want to give you guys an actual picture to look at on the headlights. This is my backyard at 4:38 in the morning. This is my camera in my backyard. The headlights, and I will walk around to show you if I may.
Yes.
Approach. The headlights here is a car of one of the workers on the property. Their headlights are coming into my kitchen window. Okay, my house is on the very southern part of this property. This is what we're looking at now. So any kind of landscaping that you put there, how long is it gonna take for it to grow? This is current, this is real life, this is what we're dealing with. Pam is closer than I am. I'm on the southern end, and I'm looking at these lights at 4:30 in the morning. So we're talking about landscaping, we're talking about dense landscaping, we're talking about maybe not, some taller, some smaller. How long does it take for this to grow? I mean, we're talking, if they develop and it's there, how many years is it going to take for this landscaping to block the headlights? How many years is it gonna take for the neighborhood to have to deal with all of this? I think something else needs to occur here. We need to come up with a better solution, maybe more landscaping, a higher fence, something. And we talked about the fence. Is the developer gonna put the fence in when McDonald's builds, or is it going to be after the whole development? When is that fence gonna be going in? That's something else we need to consider here. I mean, like I said, on paper, this looks like, oh yeah, there's a lot going on. But in real life, reality, I'm just showing you now what we're dealing with already. So please consider that when you guys are going through this. I think, like Pam said, there needs to be more done before this gets approved to protect the residents from, again, the noise, especially the lights, and safety. And that's really what I want to say, because like, how long is this landscaping going to take to grow? It doesn't grow overnight, doesn't grow in a couple months. It takes years. So we need to come up with a better solution before something like this can be approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to comment? Okay, seeing no one else. Can we have a motion to close the public hearing? Anyone?
So moved.
Okay. Commissioner Merrick has made a motion,
Second.
and Commissioner Manny has seconded it. Okay, all in favor to close the public hearing? Say aye. Opposed? Okay. Motion's carried to close the public hearing. All right, so staff will present the standards.
Do we want to discuss this
Yeah,
here?
before I present the standards, I just want to get the commission's take on the proposed hour restriction. I threw out 4 to 10, kind of, so we would have a starting point to discuss. I don't know if 10 is the appropriate closing time. Is it midnight? Are we okay with 24-hour operations as an option for the future operator to come in? Just like to hear some discussion on that.
Okay, do we just free form?
Can we start off with, where'd you come up with this, right? Why 4 AM to 10 PM? Why not 6 AM to 11, or, you know, whatever the numbers might be? And maybe you just pick them, I don't know, but what's the, how'd you end up at these numbers?
Sure.
And you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe they make sense, maybe they don't make sense. I don't know why they do or don't make sense.
Yeah, so I started with the noise ordinance in mind, so that's where that 10 o'clock
Okay.
comes from. But the noise ordinance starts at, I believe, 6 AM. But I know that McDonald's does a lot of breakfast customers between 4 and 6, and that's probably more, you know, people heading to work rather than people coming out from partying, especially since Dendrinos is gone. So that's kind of where I got those numbers from. Basically random.
Well, not totally random.
Sure,
right,
yeah.
right? You worked off of the standard and
Yeah.
then made an adjustment, so.
I think what you said about when does the noise ordinance start, 6, I think 6 would be more appropriate than 4.
Any other comments on the timing? I think it's not unreasonable to want to have some limitations. 24 hours, you know, could be a burden to the neighborhood, but you do want to make sure that your businesses are able to do their business and thrive. I mean, there's a positive benefit to the neighborhood and to the village as a whole, and that's part of I think, our considerations as commissioners. 10 seems a little early. Now, when my neighbors are partying across the street and blowing off fireworks at 1 in the morning, you know, I would like the noise ordinance enforced a little more strictly in that instance, but 10 seems a little early to me. There's so much activity going on, even at 10. Midnight seems a little more reasonable. But, you know, I don't know, maybe 5 5 in the morning, because the business, the breakfast crowd also needs to be served. So those are my thoughts. Okay, are there any, if there are no other comments then?
Well, if we're gonna add something in, we gotta actually come up with language, right?
Yeah, so
So,
right now, I have the motion drafted to restrict the hours to 4 to 10 a.m. So it would restrict overnight operation. I haven't really heard much of a consensus, but I heard 5 to midnight as one option. I heard whenever the noise ordinance is in effect. It'd be great if you guys could pin it down, and then that way we can proceed. And I will say, we would, if we're doing a restriction today, it is a restriction. If in the future they're like, we're leaving all this business on the table and we'd really like it reconsidered, that is a request that they would be able to make. Property owners would get notified. We would have this discussion again. We could talk about mitigating any overnight disturbances, whatever that could look like. So it doesn't have to be like permanent forever.
Or the reverse, right?
Or the reverse.
Where folks could get together and ask it to be shortened, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Can I pitch a 5 to 11? I don't know McDonald's business well enough to know what makes sense. I think people here know I used to run restaurants for a living, but not this type, so I don't really know what the deal is, but 5 to 11 strikes me as making more sense for something that we might discuss. I'm not sure how much business, and then when we do this, we need to think about Gas and Wash as well. Do they work 24 hours mostly at their other places if that gets approved? To limiting them as well in this space.
Yeah, so any restriction that we would be voting on now would only apply to the McDonald's lot.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Right.
I do know that we got confirmation from Gas and Wash that they typically, I believe, are 24 hours, the gas station and fuel part of the business. And then the car wash is limited in its hours of operation from 6 to 10 p.m., 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. So the kind of noisiest part of the gas station business model is limited overnight.
Okay. But that's not on the table
But-
from
but-
us, right?
Correct, and that is just operationally what they do. We don't have any proposed restrictions that would apply to any other user in this PUD.
I could support 5 to 11.
Could I
Yeah.
make a comment?
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
Okay, I don't want to interrupt discussion. I just
should.
want to give a little bit of my feedback, 2 cents, as I'm hearing this before it comes to a vote, to make sure we're all on the same page. So, I mean, I think you said it well. It's what are we limiting this to, and what is that based on? The answer is, even for me as an expert at doing this design, it's arbitrary. So you're handcuffing a future business owner, maybe, maybe not, maybe he'll be fine. So that's why from our role, and we come to these things, I know it'll be limited at some point by the operator, and that's gonna be based on staffing and if there's enough sales volume to warrant being open. And generally speaking, a lot of times what happens is the drive-through will stay open 24 hours and they'll close the lobby. That's very common. So to kind of piggyback on your point, I don't know the magic bullet. I understand there's a concern, and we're here to discuss that. I'm not saying we're drawing a hard line on that. It's just, it's arbitrary even on my part to say, well, what's the right hours? I really don't know because I'm not a restaurant operator. However, I mean, just to toss out some things that we've seen in other communities is they've allowed 24 hours in the drive-through, restricted the lobby to certain hours, and that's, we've lived with that in the past. I think going 4 to 10 is definitely, that would probably be enough to squash a substantial amount of business in the evening hours, just knowing how they operate and what they need. That breakfast going to 7 would probably be a non-starter for them. That would be enough to cripple that business from a breakfast standpoint. So just my background, I've been doing this for 20 years with these guys, and so I'm not a operator, but I am an expert in understanding site design and somewhat of the operations of the business. So I'm speaking from a place of knowledge, but not firsthand knowledge of running it. So just to kind of couch it that way. I think 4 to midnight, maybe even 5 to midnight, they could live with. Again, it's a little bit arbitrary because I don't know how that's going to work, but that probably gives them enough room and considers some of the comments that we've heard tonight that we could be okay with that. So just for context, your discussion. Thank you.
Yes, the lady in the back first.
Just adding on to what he was saying, so he's saying that their hours would be based on what their sales and their staff are, but as residents, we don't care about that. I know what you're saying about how we want to make money for the village, they want to make money for the village. I get it. That's not what we're concerned about. We're concerned about we know that there was going to be businesses coming in, the development coming in, but I saw it in the other slide. It's not supposed to change like our morals and our well-being and what we have going on. I mean, I would like to sleep and I don't want to be woken up at 4 o'clock in the morning because there's a bunch of drive-through things going on, and hearing clanking at midnight. I mean, we still would like to get our sleep. I mean, we're the residents. And saying the drive-through being open 24 hours. Well, what do? Are you eating your burger on the road? No, you're going to pull into a parking space and you're probably going to eat. And if you're drunk and you're out there, I mean, are we considering the safety of our residents? I mean, you got a bunch of drunk people out there that ran through the drive-through in the middle of the night and they're all drunk and, hooping and hollering out there. And now we have to call the cops and then that's going to be more on the police. So, with all due respect, I mean, I don't care about their sales and their staff. I care about us and the residents and our neighborhood, so.
No, I'm afraid I probably misstepped here because the public hearing portion is actually formally closed. Do we have to reopen it?
I mean, we had a bunch of people off, so ask you.
Well, I mean, the public hearing is closed, but if there's clarified comments, the board can
We can hear those?
can
Okay,
hear a comment,
very
but
good.
the public hearing is formally closed.
okay, very good, okay. Are there more comments? Yes, please.
I just want to say, in regards to what he was saying, that he's not an operator, and he's been doing this for 20 years. We've lived here for 21 years on this property. And so, doesn't matter how long you have the expertise, we've lived here too. So I just want to make that clear. We're not trying to be difficult. We're trying to work with you, but you guys also have to understand, these people, we live here. This is where our homes are. So I also wanted to clarify too, or let you guys be aware, McDonald's went to Frankfurt, the village of Frankfurt, and tried to open up for 24 hours as well, and the Frankfurt Village Board denied that for the same reasons that we're talking about too, safety, noise, all that stuff. They don't want it in their town either. So this is not uncommon that villages do limit operating hours on multi-billion-dollar corporations. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I don't know if we're closer to a consensus.
Well, I'm happy to propose a 5 to 11 adjustment to that, taking into consideration all of these things, and if there's an operator that comes in later that wants something, because I heard earlier from the PUD development side of it, that they were okay with limiting hours for the businesses that were there, and to make that claim and then not to be okay with that, I'll take them at their word, that they're in favor of a PUD that has some limitations around it and still can attract businesses to it that make money. So, so I'm okay with that, especially knowing that people can come before us. We have one coming before us right after this that is a redo, right, it looks like. So I'm okay with 5 to 11 as a starting space, and leaving that open for additional discussion in the future, should they not be able to find a tenant or somebody to buy it, or corporation doesn't want to run it, or whatever. So,
Any thoughts, commissioners?
Well, I concur with Commissioner on that, but on another note, based on the motion, do we have a motion regarding the landscaping?
Yeah, so that'll be a separate motion on the site plan architectural approval.
Okay, well, at least based on what I saw, I do agree with the homeowners that it would be very bothersome to have headlights shining in your window.
Mhm.
So, can we add some type of, opaque fencing, something, at least to block those headlights out? And I'm assuming probably even the fencing could, the noise could just bounce off of it and keep it away from the residents. That's my concern as well, that headlights wouldn't be helpful, trying to get that run.
Yes,
You know?
so right now, we do have a commitment from Larry Debb, the overall site developer, to install I believe, 6-foot tall solid fence. I'm not sure wood or PVC or what the final result is going to be, but to install that along basically every property line that faces toward residents. So on the McDonald's lot, that would mean something along the west and the south property lines, and then it kind of ends up being different for each other lot as it comes in. I will say that is just a verbal commitment at this point. We don't have anything in the PUD ordinance that mandates that they do that. We have an agreement that they will do that.
Okay.
I guess. The question just came up about the fence height. Again, we probably wouldn't be conditioning the McDonald's approval on the fence height, but that just for the record and having a discussion in public about it, would a 8-foot fence be more agreeable than a 6-foot fence? And then we would take your feedback to the master developer team, let them know kind of your thoughts.
Well, I have one more question on top of that. And so my memory's, well, not perfect, right? Or maybe even not good. But I also had an understanding that there's, like at the edges of the properties, that those are going to be turned into berms. And then there's a fence line along that as well, right? Near the properties. So I recall this. Am I right about that, right? That it's built up as no, that's not true? I recall this as a discussion in the past, that they
Yeah.
were talking about building up a berm, and then they would have a fence, and they would have screening over along the property lines.
Yeah, so
Right.
there will be a berm, technically a berm. As the engineering for the site progressed, that berm has shrunk in height, and that is due to additional information that came out through the engineering on the stormwater piece of this. So in order to have a taller berm, you need a wider space, and they need the volume so that the width has shrunk, and that then shrinks the height of the berm.
Okay.
So there will be an elevation change between the rear property line of Brookside Creek, and there'll be landscaping on that berm. It's just not going, I think when it was originally discussed, it was like between 6 and 10 feet, and it's
Okay.
not going to be that big because of engineering constraints. So there will be some change, landscaping will be on top of it, and the developer has committed to putting a fence to screen all the commercial users close to the commercial lots. So you'd have fence, 300 to 700 feet of, maybe it's detention, maybe it's floodplain mitigation, but just a big open field
Yeah.
will be the visual impact of it. And then a small elevation change with trees on the top as you get closest to the property owners.
Okay.
If I could add to that,
Yeah.
the master developer has indicated that he will take landscape and extend it further towards the east, provide additional screening, taller type of plantings out there. We have spoken to the site for the grocery store that they will also voluntarily include in their site design an additional buffer. We could look at each one of these individual sites for a solid opaque fence. I would like to recommend vinyl, so something that's a low maintenance that just needs to be cut periodically. That can be taller, that'll provide additional screening. So, going by what Commissioner Manny said, it will have the sound bounce off, there will be less reflectance of the lights, plus the screening of the landscaping would work well. So, but we can look at that too, but the master developer, Larry, did extend that he's gonna do some additional landscaping out there, and he has no problem doing that, so we're gonna extend it. We have some, drawings with some potential ideas of what we're gonna do for that.
Very good. So from my understanding, the fence that we're talking about, the site blocking fence, the solid fence, is on the exterior property line, or is it on, next to the commercial lots?
It's my understanding that the fence will be on the, communal property of the PUD. So you have the 7 developable lots that will each have, the McDonald's, the Gas and Wash, the Pete's. And they will all do their landscaping just as McDonald's has with the landscape plan before you tonight. And then on the common property, which is almost entirely dedicated to stormwater management, that is where the landscaping along the perimeter closest to people's properties and the fence would be located. So the individual users would not be responsible for installing the fence. It would be master development. Is that correct?
I heard that it could be at each individual lot too, based on their site design.
Okay.
That could be something that potentially we could use to do additional screening. So,
Okay.
Did you say that we're getting a fence on the berm as well? Because that was never discussed.
No, the fence is only intended to be along the commercial property lots.
Right, and then the berm that we were supposed to have is now lower,
I believe it
A
has
lot
shrunk in
lower.
height. Yeah.
and so we're not blocking, even with the landscaping that's going on the berm, it's still not gonna be blocking a lot, because again, how long it's gonna take to grow? So that's, again, the issue of, we need to figure something out, needs more discussion.
Well, there will be a fence between the residents and the commercial properties, whether it's right at the commercial property lots or whether it's at the exterior of the flood control areas. There will be a fence there. That's what I'm hearing. Is that correct?
The intention is that the fence would be along the commercial lots.
Okay, so close to the
Whether
properties.
it's on the individual lot owners and developers to install the fence, or on the master developer. I was under the impression the master developer was going to basically surround every developable lot,
Okay,
but it sounds like that might actually be part of the discussion for each lot coming in.
Yeah, it could be on his common property. and then
but it will
across
be
the
there.
line.
There will be some fencing, and
There will be
that's,
some fencing
that'll be
there.
there immediately. So I think that will help towards the
Solid fencing?
light
Solid
light
fencing?
mitigation.
Yes.
Solid fencing.
It would go up immediately before the business is open, or after the businesses are already open?
Can you repeat your question, ma'am?
The fence that the developer is going to be putting in, is it going up before each individual business opens? Or is it going in after the entire development is constructed, which could be years from now?
I think logically what would probably occur is that each particular lot, lot 1, 7, 5 are being built, that once they get their landscaping done, the development will then, the master developer will put his fence in, because now his fence won't be damaged by construction traffic, debris, storage of materials. It'll go up right before it opens, and therefore we have the fence, and their construction's done, and therefore they'll be working simultaneously. So towards the last 10% of the project is probably be the most logical time that the master developer come in and put that fence, because he knows his fence will go in, it won't get damaged, it'll be clean, and that's the way we would go.
So before the actual doors open and business starts to occur?
Yes, I think so, yes.
So that could be part of the final planning and landscape inspection prior to getting a certificate of
correct.
occupancy.
Right. So when we go out there and we do a final inspection for a certificate of occupancy, one of the things that we look at, depending upon the weather, is the landscaping, but we look at the overall site. Parking, striping, signage, landscaping, that fence could be part of our inspection, making sure that that is in place before that conditional CFO is installed, issued.
So how do we build that into this, what we're doing?
So the best way to do it would be to add it as a condition on the site plan architectural
Okay.
approval. Something along the lines of a fence along the south and west property lines must be in place prior to issuance of a certificate of occupancy, something like that.
Okay. All right, should we go back to motion 1?
I think we need to do the standards.
Yeah, I do need to
Oh,
do the
do you?
standards.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. So standards, establishment of the special use will not be detrimental to public health, safety, morals. The special use to allow for the development of a McDonald's with drive-through will not be detrimental, will not be injurious to any neighboring property owners. Compatible, the special use is compatible with existing and future development. Facilities will be provided as part of the overall development by the master developer in terms of utilities and access. For as far as ingress and egress, the proposed special use will provide adequate access measures and will not have any direct access off of 191st Street. The special use will conform to all other village codes and ordinances. And finally, the special use will provide a local dining option for nearby residents and will generate sales tax and property tax. And then I have the architectural and site plan standards as well. And the motion for the special use. So again, if anyone's making this motion, it sounds like we've kind of agreed that the restriction would be 5 to 11. So anyone making the motion, just fill that in instead of the 4 to 10 that's on the screen.
Okay, I can make a motion. So I'll make a motion to recommend the village board grant special use permit for substantial deviation to the petitioner Kathy Stevens of Permit Solutions, Inc. on behalf of McDonald's Corporation at 7501 191st Street in the B3 PD, General Business and Commercial Brookside Creek Retail Center, PUD, zoning district in accordance with the plan submitted and adopt the findings of fact of the plan submitted. Did I just read that twice? Yeah. As proposed in the December 18th, 2025 staff report, subject to the following condition: hours of operation for the establishment, drive-through usage, as well as dine-in and carry-out are limited to 5 a.m. and 10 p.m., or 11 p.m., sorry.
Commissioner Merrick made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gaskell. Lori, could you call the roll?
Commissioner Gaskell?
Yes.
Commissioner Manny?
Yes.
Commissioner Merrick?
Yes.
Commissioner Montalvo?
Yes.
Acting Chair Hamilton?
Yes. Okay, the motion's carried. May I have a motion regarding the site plan architectural approval?
Go for it.
Okay, I make a motion to grant the site plan architectural approval to the petitioner Kathy Stevens of Permit Solutions, Inc. on behalf of McDonald's Corporation for the development of a quick service restaurant with a drive-through at 7501 191st Street in the Brookside Creek Retail Center PUD in accordance with the plan submitted in the December 18, 2025 staff report, subject to the following conditions. I mean, just these three, right? Or I don't have to scroll up, right?
You can say subject to the conditions in the staff report?
Yeah, I ended it, but
Okay.
but I just want to just, call out the,
Yeah, so the language on the last one, just because I see the font issue that happened, is approval is subject to review and approval by the, approval is subject to review and approval of the final engineering plans by the village engineer, is what that last one says. And then
Okay.
we're including a fourth one
Yeah.
about the fence.
and then the fourth condition is providing a fence along the west and south property lines before, shall be in place before receiving a COO.
Okay, Commissioner Manny made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Montalvo. Lori, could you call the roll?
Commissioner Gaskell.
Yes.
Commissioner Manny.
Yes.
Commissioner Merrick.
Yes.
Commissioner Montalvo.
Yes.
Acting Chair Hamilton.
Yes. The motion's carried. And this item will go to the village board for their January 6th meeting. Okay, we'll move on to item 3 of the agenda. Item 3 on the agenda is a public hearing to consider recommending that the village board grant Dennis Mahoney a variation from section 3.1.2.b of the zoning ordinance to allow for a detached garage exceeding the maximum accessory structure floor area at 16801 Sayre Avenue in the R2 Single Family Residential Zoning District. May I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Commissioner Montalvo made a motion. May I have a second?
A second.
Commissioner Manny seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Okay, the motion's carried. Before we proceed, I'll make note that I have received a certification of the public hearing notice being published in a local newspaper as required by state law. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter will be sworn in before they speak, but after the staff's presentation. Staff, if you could please proceed with your presentation.
Thank you, Acting Chair. So this public hearing was previously, we previously had a public hearing here at Plan Commission for this item on October 16th. I'm giving you an overview of the previous consideration following that that went to Village Board on November 4th and 18th. At the Village Board, it was remanded back to Plan Commission per request by the trustees for further investigation. The petitioner has not provided any change to the submittal documents in this current public hearing. The petitioner has since removed the gabled peak, which I will show photos in a moment, and staff has provided other new information in the staff report that's identified in red, as well as up here on screen. So I will go over the submittal as well as give those updated pieces of information. The property is at 16801 Sayre. It is neighborhood southeasterly of 167th in Harlem, east side of Sayre Avenue. This is a large, deep, narrow lot. It's 66 feet wide by 271 feet deep. The submittal, as initially provided, included a lot coverage data sheet, as well as a plat of survey showing existing conditions just shortly prior to that public hearing. As far as the zoning and history on the project, on the development, it was annexed in 1929. So this is by far one of our older subdivisions. It is in the R2 zoning district for subject property as well as that nearby neighborhood. As far as what's adjacent to the north is vacant land, not a parcel. That land itself is about 70 feet, so that separates the northern edge of the subject property to the southern edge of the nearest neighbor to the north. So, that would be presumably for right-of-way. And as far as the housing type, those are detached, single-family homes in the nearby area. The images that you see up here are photos of looking at the house and garage from Sayre, as well as an overhead aerial view where just the dot is about where the blue dot is about where the house is, and the garage is just to the northeast of that. So that property has a single-story gabled home that is approximately 1,302 square feet. The home itself does not have a basement. It has limited attic storage. So I've summed those up in the bubbles to the right there. Next is the existing detached garage. The original garage structure itself is 445 square feet plus an attached screen-in porch just to the south of that. So together, that existing structure is about 663 square feet. Now, the question for the petition tonight is the additional two-level addition under construction that has been started to the west of the garage. So 2 stories per story per level is about 445 square feet. The property has 2 sheds, in total about 258 square feet, a pool, and then wood deck, patios. There's some vehicle storage outside, including a boat. So here are some photos that were just taken last week. Staff went out there to get a view of mainly the perspective from the curb of what that roof structure now looks at. So the roof is now been truncated. Before it had a gable under construction that exceeded 18 feet. 18 feet are code maximum. So that gable has been truncated, so the height from ground to the top of the structure is now 18 feet, code compliant. You can see the photo at the lower left is I'm standing in that vacant land, kind of at an angle to the home, so you see the north and east elevations. And then the lower right photo is of 2 of the shed structures towards the property's rear. The one in dark blue is that northeast corner shed. And then the small photo to the right of that is a deck overhang structure and a doorway that was observed last week. So here is some of the petitioner's original submittal information about the neighborhood. So noted that there's an example of low slope roofing, a lot of exterior vinyl siding, and noted a particular garage with a 2nd-story floor window. So as staff went out there last week, staff got some more photos of other homes in the area. So you can see there's one on the corner by 167th, as well as a few on Sayre and a few in New England. So this is just a sampling of a half a dozen or so photos. The attachments, as referenced in the staff report, the attachments at the back of the staff report following that did have some more photos. And in general, it showed a variety. Now, there are 2 particular properties, one of which was referenced by the petitioner, 16731 New England, and another one which also has a larger garage, 2 properties to the south of that on New England. So staff looked into a little bit more information on that. So this is all following it going to the public hearing back in October here. The first of the 2 properties had received a variation for a 17-foot high, 24 by 36. It's a 864 square foot garage. It appears that that garage has been since constructed much larger than that. So there's some documentation the village has that indicates that the homeowner in the past was directed to remove the additional square footage. There's no other information on that since. So you can see as just in a very rough top-down view of taking a very rough approximate dimensioning tool of what that footprint looks like. That was approximately about 1,000 square feet. So you can see the photo of that just below that footprint. It's the lower left photo. The other property, 16745 New England, again, it had a variation approved for that same amount, 24 by 36 garage, 864 square feet. That variation was conditioned to say overhead doors have to be a max of 9 feet high. And they specifically, this is one of the older variations, so code may have been a little different, but the variation specifically called upper level only for storage, garage not for home occupancy or business use. We apologize, the font has gotten cut off on the screen, but this is all as reflected in the staff report. So staff observations from going up and down New England and Sayre, from 167th down a few blocks, is that there's a variety of architectural style in garages. There's a lot of homes with siding, not all of them, but it seems to be predominantly of that material. Varied roof lines and peak types. There's a range of visual impact that staff could see of the garages. So all the photos that were taken from right at the curb line. So just to get a uniform idea, some garages are set back further than others, but in general, you know, there's a lot of detached garages in the area, and some of them are more visible than others, and some are even partially obscured. So there's one example of a garage that was side-loaded and had a lot of evergreens that were visible from the street front. So overall, the homes, though they're smaller with the kind of basic gable structures, it appears that the neighborhood character and context looks to be eclectic with a substantial degree of variety. And as noted before, it's an older subdivision. It's not standard in terms of these styles and layouts. Construction has obviously been over many decades. So as noted before in the staff report, there are code requirements that state the reason why we're here tonight is about the floor area. Garages, max floor area is 720 square feet. And then, of course, we're noting other code requirements that the petition is actually going to comply with, which is the height, 18 feet high. The garage is currently at that height. Not to be used as living space, business-related activity, or serviced by water or sanitary sewer. That is called out in the code. We've included some reference to that as well as a condition for clarity. Code also does allow for properties to have 2 garages, but those size and frontage requirements are greater than what's available here at this property. Code limits sheds to 1 storage shed up to 200 square feet. And there is what we informally call a minimum house size code requirement. Formally, it's called the usable floor area per dwelling. So that is 2,300 for ranch-style homes in this zoning district, 2,800 square foot otherwise. And please note that this excludes garages and accessory structures and basements that do not have any roughed-in habitable areas. Existing garage, detached garage accessory structure with the original garage porch in addition exceeds the max floor area and width. So again, apologize for the cutoff on the screen, but it is 1,553 square feet, which is the original garage and porch 663 total, plus the 2 levels of 445 each. The formal variation request at this time has now been just for the maximum floor area. And as noted before, the petitioner will need to either remove the structure or get variation approval, followed by approval of a building permit. So as far as the details of what transpired at the public hearing in October here and at the village board, Plan Commission was October 16th, and as noted in the staff report, there's a number of comments that were made, discussion on the degree of how much the proposal exceeds the code, the discussion of the unpermitted shed structures, the neighborhood character, notably a comment saying we should not have things that stand out as being completely different than others around. Physical hardships of lot area, lot width, and structural constraints were talked about, as well as the contemplation of requiring removal of the northeasternmost non-compliant shed. Petitioner had stated on the record that it was possible to move the items within that shed to the garage. At Village Board, there was discussion by the board as well as input provided by our Community Development Director. So at that time, the staff interpretation was revised. Previously, there were 2 variations. The second variation would have been for garage width. So at this time, we are not requiring that as a variation. So some detail on that is provided further in our report. As far as some of the numbers and how the impact of this garage relates to the lot size is noted as it's a very large lot. Its proposed lot coverage is far below what the code maximum is. So by the structures alone, it's 19% of the lot, which code max is 35. So that's 54% below code maximum. And even if at that point you were then to include all impervious surface, so decks, patios, et cetera, that would only bring the number up to roughly 30 to 31%. FAR, it would, by the proposal, it would also be well below the code maximum. So proposed 0.18, max 0.4, so it's 45% below code max. Village Board had some discussion overall, stating further investigations requested. Comments, there may be other homes with similar size garages. Lot siting and sizing was talked about. No north neighbor, evergreens behind the property, and overall noting what staff subsequently observed about the character of the neighborhood. There was a comment saying it did not be appearing to be out of character, and that as far as other entitlements, variation entitlements in the past, the village has received requests to build smaller homes than the code minimum house size. As far as house size and floor area, to clarify, the 2,800 and 2,300 square feet, that's a minimum depending on the level of the roof pitch, and it's considered a ranch type. So that number, again, excludes basements, it excludes unfinished attics, and garages and accessory structures. So given the roof pitch of the house, staff has determined that would be comparing it to 2,800 minimum square feet. So that house alone would be, if building a new one today, would be deficient by almost 1,500 square feet. As far as other information that was provided for board were the 2 examples I talked about on the block over on New England. So those were, again, with larger garages. So after a lot of text up on the screen, here's a graphic that hopefully can illustrate the dashed red line on the top chart would be if you were to build a house new to code, 2,800 square feet for, again, just the house size. And when you add up all the elements, the house itself would be in dark blue. The original detached garage, the addition, and the attached screen porch, when you stack all of those up, it only comes 55 square feet over the code minimum. And again, that is including those structures that would not count. By code, really, it would only be the 1302 compared to the 2,800. And then at the lower part of the screen, you can see where those structures are located. The sheds are all the way to the right of that plat. So as the motion and the staff report is updated to only have the 1 variation request with 3 conditions. Based on last week's observation, condition 1, to have the doorway and wood deck overhang on the east facade be removed and constructed with a window as per the petitioner's submitted architectural plans. Number 2, clearly stating that the garage may not be used for living space and may not be serviced by sanitary, sewer, or water. And 3, the shed at the northeast property to either be removed or relocated to full compliance of the zoning ordinance with proper permit approval. So as far as the rest of the request, you can see the addition, how far back, approximately 100 feet from the lot line. It favors the north part of the property line, adjacent to vacant land, not parcel. The plans, as noted before, have not changed, so it's 20 by 22 feet by length by width, and the petitioner's use does not change. The submittal stays the same as before, that it's for storage, for vehicles on the ground floor, and general storage upstairs. It's going to be a wood frame with hardy board or vinyl lap siding to match the existing original garage. And here you can see the elevations of that. Staff believes that the proposal is architecturally compatible with the home. And as far as the hardship, the petitioner stated it was due to lack of storage. This will provide an indoor solution. The house does not have your typical amenities of like a garage or a lot of closet space. The petitioner states the attic is limited, referring to the physical constraints of the house itself, for the structure and the joists. The lot's too narrow for a second detached garage, can't do another shed, and the building addition would be challenging based on the foundation construction. So, and this just reiterates again with some of those lot width and comparisons, the home is nearly half the size than building a new home to code. That concludes staff presentation. I've got the standards up on screen. I also have the petitioner, Mr. Mahoney, here in the audience.
Very good. Mr. Mahoney, would you like to make a statement? Please approach the lectern. Would you state your name?
Yes, Dennis Mahoney.
And then I'll swear you in. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the evidence that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please proceed.
I just want to talk real briefly. I know there, at the last commission meeting, Commissioner Merrick, we brought up, having some residents come
Yeah.
to the meeting. So I did talk to some of the residents. Unfortunately, they could not participate with other obligations, family and work. But I did talk to them, and I did get verbal confirmation. There's 3 residents, total 9, or 3 homes, 9 residents in total, one being the residence to the north, directly next to me. That address is 16749. The other residence, 16763 Westwind Drive. And then also on Sayre Avenue, just kitty corner from myself, 16754. And I did talk to those residents too. They're in full support of the addition, saying it'd be a great addition. Can't wait till it gets done. And they would be willing to, if they had to write something in for confirmation too, just for verification that we had the conversation, that they were in support. So all 3 of those homes, the residents have lived in the neighborhood for, I think at the very least 25 years. So they've been a part of that same neighborhood as I have for about the same duration. And then just touching on it, what we talked about here, the gable style roof has been taken down to meet the height restriction of the 18 feet. And then also I think there's a correction or with the width versus the length. So I think originally it said the width was the 40-some odd feet width-wise. The width now is the 20-foot, 2 inches wide on that garage opening. I think that's all I had right now. If there's any other questions or concerns or comments, I'll be willing to answer.
Good, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
If I could add also on this, one of the things that we discussed is in our code, we had a interpretation that we needed clarified. So I provided some clarification on the width, and the width is a dimension that's side to side. So side to side would be the facade that's facing the street, that's your front elevation, and you have 2 side elevations. So that is actually the width of this garage, which is under the 34 feet, including the screen-in porch. So we're in compliance even with the screen-in porch. The length is what is 42 feet in length. That the length is from front to back. So we just had that clarified. We recently just had another interpretation when somebody came in with a garage that was wider than 34 feet. We made them reduce it down to fall into that same compliance. He made it a little bit deeper. So just to clarify that the width is now clarified within my office, that the width is side to side, not the depth or the deep of the garage. So, and also, you know, if you were to take a look at this garage, if he were to go ahead and level his site with 2,800 square feet with a pitch less than, you know, 812, he's estimated to be about a 512 right now. He's, even with all of these additions on here, he still is just barely over, but still tremendously under his lot coverage. So he's, you know, he's gonna use that addition to take a lot of the accessory boats and so forth, store it inside. So code enforcement wise, that's a good thing for us. That's what we're looking for. We're taking some of these, you know, storage items and putting it in a closed structure. That's very important. And then, you know, also Petitioner Mahoney stated that the, you know, the existing shed, he will bring in compliance with a permit. He could do that separately, he could do it coincidentally with the submittal that he has in now, and bring that in full compliance too. And he is willing to also put in a 4-inch concrete slab, which is required because any shed that's over 100 square feet requires it to be on a concrete slab. Up to 200 square feet, he is also willing to do that. Take it 5 feet off the property lines. He does not appear to have any easements, so 5 foot would be the limit. He's willing to do that to bring the property even more compliance.
Very good, thank you. Is there an ordinance regarding boats and things in the driveway?
We have boats are kind of like trailers. If they're open, they have to be at least 2 feet off the side property line. But we always look at if you could go in and, we try to tell people, if they ask, do I keep it on the property? We try to tell them, you know, find storage for it, because it does become an attractive, I don't know, nuisance, but it could be subject to vandalism. And Petitioner Mahoney brought up the fact that he'd like to bring it in the garage, which would be the back portion that he has. It's used, you know, based on the summer months only. He move it in the back, use the front portion that's existing now that's under the gable, and that would be where his vehicles would be stored. So we would be enhancing the site a little bit. Taking some vehicles and closing them, which would be good.
Yep.
So.
Thank you. All right. Commissioners, do we have any comments? Commissioner Gaskell?
Nothing to say right now.
Commissioner Manny?
You know, no comments other than what I commented on the last plan commission. That, you know, looks good.
Commissioner Merrick?
Yeah, so I have a couple comments. So I appreciate, the thing I wanted was either the neighbors or the photos of other places in the neighborhood that looked like this, to better sense of how this fit in. So I'm perfectly happy with that. And I guess the other piece is one really for the staff, which is, and I know we're working on this about our zoning, is that we really need to get away from the legacy zoning of, and I don't mean the legacy part of town, but of requiring houses to be bigger than the houses are in our neighborhoods, right? And I know we're working on that. That's a silly part that kind of destroys an ability to kind of even work with these things sometimes, right? Where we know every house in the neighborhood is automatically non-conforming, and that's a problem, right? That's not really what zoning is for. So, but I'm pleased to see other examples. Like I said last time, I went through once, but I'm not an architect, I don't know exactly what to look for. So these images help a lot for me.
Commissioner Montalvo?
No comment.
I just have a question. How did it come about that an existing neighborhood, nearly every single house is non-conforming? How did the code get written that it created this situation?
Well, basically, I can speak on behalf of the planners. Myself being an architect, a lot of times what you run into is an existing legal non-conforming. Meaning at the present time when this neighborhood was built, the zoning code was probably incredibly less restrictive. The building code, zoning code, we only get more restrictive as time comes on. Building code is unfortunately due to possibly a fatality or something that happened, a collapse. When it comes to a zoning code is, you look at a pattern of what's happening out there. So back when this was probably built, the zoning code said, well, this is the maximum house you could put out there. It was probably due to construction standards, what people could afford at the time. And now, when we get in certain lots, we created the zoning code, but what we look at is we look at an existing pattern that's out there, and that's how we establish if a variance can be possible. The hardship is, I want to match the conformity of the neighborhood. All of these houses next to me don't meet the 2,800 square feet, so that's what we look at. We have ran into that in several cases, where it didn't meet the intent of the code, but the adjacent properties did. So it becomes progressive, like, okay, well, the code 50 years later created this code, but these houses don't match it. That is considered a legal nonconformity, perfectly fine, it's just there. We kind of look at, from an architect standpoint, even when we design it, biggest things in the city, where I grew up at the neighborhood I grew up in Garfield Ridge, every lot's 30 feet wide. They got people building up to the property lines now, and these houses look like they're monsters next to a little raised ranch that I grew up in. So, but unfortunately, they go through this whole process, but when those houses were built in that neighborhood in the early 60s, when my parents moved in there, the code was a lot more restrictive. Now they kind of open it up a little bit.
So are we addressing this in the comprehensive plan that's coming out? These neighborhoods?
We will be addressing that probably in the Unified Development Ordinance. So the comprehensive plan is a major design motif that we're looking at for the village to be 20 to 25 years later. We're looking at transportation, we're looking at housing, retail, where we're gonna go, pedestrian walkways. The Unified Development Ordinance will be piggyback that code, but it'll be more specific zoning to actually zone lots. Side yards, rear yards, uses, allowable heights, FAR requirements. So that's a little bit more of the nitty-gritty that we look at when somebody comes in with a set of plans. Whereas a comprehensive plan is looking at from the village overall.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, as a historian, I have a different answer, right? Which is that and folks on the here know, is that the larger house requirements were meant to keep poor folks out of the community at the time, right?
Yeah, increased property values.
Yeah,
and so
yeah,
on.
that's right.
Yep. Okay, very good. There's nobody else in the audience, so I think it's time then to make a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Okay, that was Commissioner Montalvo made a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, Commissioner Manny seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion carried. Okay. Now it's time for the motions on variations.
So
May
I
I-
have the standards up on screen?
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Okay, so the standards are 3, which we reply with findings of fact drafted. These are largely the same as what came before you before. So regarding the property in question cannot yield a reasonable return if permitted to be used only under the conditions allowed by the regulations in the district in which it is located. The finding is that the property cannot yield a reasonable return as such that it lacks adequate storage space, has undersized, non-conforming usable floor area of dwelling, and narrow lot width. Specifically, the house does not have typically available storage amenities, adequate closet space, basement, or accessibly usable attic space structurally equipped to bear substantial weight for home storage. In addition, will provide indoor storage solutions for belongings that may otherwise be left outdoors. Number 2, this is regarding plight to unique circumstances. The lack of storage space on the property is a physical hardship due to the non-conforming, undersized, usable floor area and lot width. And again, with the lack of storage amenities and a standard building addition to the house would otherwise pose challenges due to the house's existing shape and location with a non-conforming side yard setback and proximity to existing garage and screened-in porch. And number 3, the variation will not alter the essential character of the locality. The location for the addition favors the north of the property, most proximate to adjacent vacant land that is not a platted parcel. The 44-foot-2 depth utilizes the depth of the property parallel to Sayre, reducing the visual sightline impact from Sayre. Examples of neighborhood context show similar character of homes. Overall appears eclectic with a substantial degree of variety, noting it's an older subdivision and not standard due to different styles and layouts constructed over the years. And as always, we have the 4th condition, or 4th variation standard, which doesn't require the findings, but are just additional points to think about. And on the screen, I have the variation. So the difference here, along with removing the variation for the width of the structure, the 44-foot-2 is depth, not width. So it's just a 1 variation for floor area. And staff has added 3 conditions. So the first is presuming that the doorway and wood deck overhang are still on the property, that they must be removed and reconstructed with a window as per the petitioner's submitted architectural east elevation drawing, and the garage may not be used for living space and may not be serviced by water or sanitary, and that frame deck must be relocated and removed, full compliance of the zoning ordinance and proper permit approval. I realize that I've gone into the motion, but I just want to clarify, as we are at the point where we'd, prior to closing the public hearing, these are 3 things that the commission may wish to discuss.
Did we close the public
We did.
meeting?
We did
Oh,
close it.
sorry. Well,
Yeah.
this
But we
would be
could
an
reopen it if we
opportunity for a
wanted to
straw
discuss.
poll or, further discussion on the 3 conditions.
Okay. So any comments on the staff's addition, which is in red?
No comment.
How long was these been in effect, like the exclusions of the, what I'm saying, you're talking about the necessity for storage, which otherwise could, isn't available in the house itself, or?
This is in comparison to typical homes in the, typical amenities, right? This home does not have a basement. Many contemporary homes do have that for storage. The home itself is only 1,300 square feet. When you account for the standard room sizes, that leaves very limited space for closet storage. So, that is noted as something that is unique to the, as a plight to a physical hardship for the
Yeah,
property.
I just wasn't sure that I heard that last time we went over this, as far as the hardship part. And that's why I was asking, how long ago was this put in effect?
So this was, anything that was noted in black text in the staff report was what was previously presented at the public hearing, so there was discussion about lack of storage space.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was when I was discussing back in October when we made the appearance in front of the first plan commission, is that he's on a concrete block foundation, which is very difficult to add addition to it, especially a deep basement. You have underpinning, concrete block at every joint, which is 8 by 16, creates a shear point, very difficult to maintain it. His existing ceiling joist that he has in this, and there's a couple of times that we went up and did roof structures and things like that, the ceiling joists are 2 by 4 sometimes, which won't pick up much load at all. Don't pick it up, but they'll bend a lot. And when they do bend, then it'll break the gypsum board or possibly even the plaster ceiling he has in his home. So it's not conducive for storage up there in the attics.
Very good. All right, well, if there's no other discussion, I'd like to ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay?
Make a
Commissioner
motion to recommend the village board grant the petitioner Dennis Mahoney a variation from section 3I 2B of the Tinley Park zoning ordinance to increase the maximum flooring area of a detached garage accessory structure to 1,553 square feet at 16801 Sayre Avenue in the R2 Single Family Residential District in accordance with the plan submitted, and adopt the findings of fact as proposed in the December 18, 2025 staff report, subject to the conditions indicated on the slide.
Okay, do we have, that was Commissioner Merrick made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Manny made the second. Lori, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Gaskell.
Yes.
Commissioner Manny.
Yes.
Commissioner Merrick.
Yes.
Commissioner Montalvo.
Yes.
Acting Chair Hamilton.
Yes.
All right.
So the motion is carried, and the item will go to the village board on January 6th. I don't believe there are any other comments unless Mr. Mahoney would like to make a general public comment.
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Then we'll proceed to the good of the order. Is there any item for the good of the order?
Do you have anything, Mike?
I'm trying to think, there's a
It's
lot.
been so long.
Yeah.
It's okay if there's not.
What's opened?
Yeah.
We've got one big one, and then just status updates, right?
Right. Which big one are you
The big one
talking
is
about?
you,
I don't, the one that I don't know if I'm supposed to say out
Well, I will give you an update.
loud. About staffing, I don't know.
Oh,
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, just to go ahead and let everybody know that Hannah Lippman, our assistant village manager, is moving on. So we're going to miss her incredibly. I loved working with her, and she was great for this village, and she has made an impression on a lot of people here. It's especially such a young age for her, but it's good for her, bad for us, for staff. It's going to be a growing turn for us, but we congratulate her, so her last day will be January 2nd. The Magnuson project, we are still trying to get that project back on board. They're trying to continue to go back to value engineer that building. So right now, I've worked with them, with our Fire Marshal Steve Loreno, to come up with some solutions to help them not necessarily reduce the safety and well-being of the building, protecting its occupants, but basically helping to reduce some costs in the building. We have some other developments that are coming in that once we get a good handle on them. So we got a lot of work coming ahead. It's going to be very busy next 2-3 years. We're in the final revision stages of our comp plan. So hopefully I would say probably late winter, we should be hopefully bringing that comp plan in front of the Plan Commission. And then right from there, go straight into our development of the Unified Development Ordinance, which is going to be a combination of our zoning ordinance and our subdivision together.
Landscaping too, right?
Landscaping, yes. Bringing that all together along with our engineering standards and creating one code that we all can reference. So I will be adopting the 2024 codes early spring, late winter, February, March, getting us up to, we will be one of probably 10% of the communities that will be on the most recent codes for the 2024. So the state has now passed an ordinance effective last January that you can only be 2 code cycles behind. So the ICC code is every 3 years. So in theory, we really should be at least on the 2018. When I came here, we were on the 2012. We moved it up to the 2021. We'll be on the 2024. We'll be good for 3 to 4 years.
Very good.
I'm happy to announce I have nothing else to report.
Very good, thank you, Mike. Okay, we can move on to adjourn the meeting. May I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Commissioner Gaskell makes the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Montalvo. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried, and the meeting is adjourned at 9:21 PM.
You didn't announce that.